What's the deal with pre-college programs at prestigious colleges and universities across the United States? That's the topic of today's video. My name is Craig Meister. I'm a college admissions coach and expert. You can go to my website, collegemeister.com, to learn more about me and how you can work with me one-on-one throughout the college admissions process. Pre-college programs are increasingly popular. They're a money-making machine for the colleges that offer them. And I want to dive into the issue today because pre-college programs are lovely for the right fit students, but they are crazy for the wrong fit students. And they are also worn by individuals like a Prada or Gucci bag, when in fact, they're not worth the cost in many cases. So what are pre-college programs? Pre-college programs that are offered during the summer mostly. I mean, sometimes they're offered at other times of year, but mostly they're summer pre-college programs are opportunities that, and when I'm referring to them, they're opportunities that are actually offered by and given by the university or the college itself. There are other pre-college programs. I don't really refer to these as pre-college programs, but there are other programs, summer programs that are basically like camps that are offered by purely for-profit entities. And sometimes they are even located on college campuses and use that college's dorms. But they are purely run and operated by, pay for play for-profit companies. Some names come to mind. I'm not going to give the names right now. And sometimes they're even in partnership with the university itself. So it's very shady. It's very hard to discern, is this program actually just a pay-for-play for-profit program? Or is this a university authored and delivered program? Because sometimes they're really mixing things up so much that it's very hard to discern. But what I'm referring to today are the programs offered by schools like Wharton, the Wharton Scholars Program, I think it's called, or the Brown pre-college program, or the Harvard pre-college program, or the Georgetown Summer Hoya thing. All of these programs, and there's so many more. I just am picking on those. I'm not picking on those schools in particular, but there are many. There are many schools that offer their own in-house pre-college programming for high school students as young as the summer before ninth grade. But in many cases, they're available primarily to students going into their 11th grade year and their 12th grade year in high school, where you can actually live on that college's campus, take at least one course delivered by someone paid for by that school, usually a professor or some lecturer at that school. Usually they're full-time, but sometimes they're actually just off the street, sort of adjuncts that they got for this sole purpose. And then you live there, you experience there, you get to put on your resume after the 2 weeks you take part, or the 8 weeks you take part, that you took 1 to 2 to 3 different courses, whatever, how many courses at that college over the summer. And you learned about X, Y, and Z. And that's lovely. And it costs $10,000 or it costs $2,500. And there's some commuter options, but many of these are residential options where you're living in the dorms, you're eating the food on campus, you're meeting other teens from around the world who are in your age cohort. And then you're all putting this on your resume at the end of the summer. And sometimes you get actually college credit for the experience. Other times you don't even get college credit. You just get sort of a certificate of completion. And it's just sort of an aggrandized camp, frankly. It's sort of an educational enrichment program at a very prestigious location, but you don't even get a college credit to boot. In all the cases mentioned so far that are offered at the actual college, delivered by the college, and it's an actual official program of the college, these are expensive. I mean, these are money-making, like I said, machines for the colleges themselves. You have to ask yourself, why are you interested in this if you're a teenager or a parent of a teenager? If you are interested in it because you want to ultimately go to Harvard as an undergraduate, or you want to go to Wharton as an undergraduate, that is not a reason to do this. Insofar as you think it's going to help your chances of getting into Wharton or Harvard later, or any of the other schools that offer it. If, however, you want to live on that campus for a week or 2 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever, and really experience what it's like to live in that city or in that location or that town or that countryside, wherever that college is, and live there, wake up there in the morning, go to sleep there at night, interact with people on the campus, feel comfortable or lack thereof of comfort on the campus, and just get a vibe of it over the summer. And you were also really interested in the content of the course or courses that you're going to be taking. That's a point at which, okay, it's worth considering maybe doing if your family has the money, if you have the time, and there's not something that could better or cheaper expose you to that same content at home or somewhere else in the world. So you really have to weigh the cost benefit analysis of actually engaging in a pre-college program, because do not do it just to have Harvard on your resume or to have Yale on your resume. Because while 10, 15 years ago, some of these pre-college programs were relatively selective, increasingly they've made far more room in these programs actually than the undergraduate programs themselves for students, because they're pay pigs. They're basically, you can get a lot of money out of this. And as a result, it's very much a situation where you are feeding the beast that is the higher education institution, and they're squeezing you like a piggy bank for all the last dollars that your family is worth, in order to give you what you want, which you're, looking at at all, which is the name of Harvard or the name of Brown or the name of Penn or the name of Georgetown on your resume, because you think by having that name, by having that credential on your resume as a 10th grader, an 11th grader, or a 12th grader, it's going to help you get into one of those schools, either that school specifically or a peer institution down the line, because it's so prestigious, it's so impressive. That is not a reason to do this. Do not do it for that reason. There are some much cheaper and equally quality options closer to home at a local state college or community college, or, other opportunities that you can get, maybe even by you getting paid. You could, instead of having a pre-med, pre-college program for a week, maybe you actually are a volunteer or a shadow or an intern for a doctor's or dentist's or surgeon's office in your local area, or orthopedic, professional, or God knows what. But whatever the case, and you may even get paid, or you at least won't have to pay out of pocket to do it. You can just drive over there 5 minutes and you're there. And that could be a much cheaper option, but even a better option, because maybe you'll get more exposure to what it's really like to live like a doctor or operate like a doctor for 2 or 3 weeks, as opposed to 1 week in the hallowed halls of some prestigious Ivy League or similar institution where you're being taught about the topic in general, but the main reason you're doing it is for the name Harvard, Princeton, Yale, whatever, to be on your resume. All right. So again, the reason to do a pre-college program, however, would be there is a subject offered in this pre-college program that you've never had access to learning before at your high school or in your local community. And you also are really interested in the value added of living on that campus, because maybe it is a school that you're considering and you really want to get a sense of if this is a place you would feel comfortable for not only 2 or 3 weeks or 4 weeks or 8 weeks. I think NYU offers like an 8-week program, whatever the case may be, but 4 years as an undergraduate. And so that would be a really nice recognizance mission for you. So you could go there, you could see, you could live there, you could taste it, you could smell it, you get a sense, is this a place I really want to live? Plus the value added is, even if you end up hating the location or don't like the students you're surrounded with, or the professors, you at least hopefully will still be studying a subject for the time you're there, or subjects when you're there that are of interest to you. So you feel like you're learning about them in a way you would not have been able to for cheaper or more locally. All right. So be very considerate of the fact that pre-college programs know you live in this matrix of prestige, of status. And so they know that a lot of people want Brown in their undergraduate career. And so a lot of people are going to try to get in on sort of the ground floor of Brown as a pre-college I cannot tell you how many students through the years have thought this is going to work for them, despite me saying it's not. They go to do a summer pre-college program at Brown or Wharton or USC or BU or what have you, thinking that this is their ticket into that college, because that college is going to see they already live there, they already have paid the institution money, they've already hung with the big boys over the summer, whatever the case may be, whatever the reasoning might be. And then they apply to that college for early decision, early action, regular, they get blown out of the water, they don't get in, they get rejected. Or similar institutions too. Actually can really backfire at similar institutions. Let's say you do a pre-college program over the summer at Brown, and then you end up wanting to apply restrictive early action to Harvard, and then they see a Brown on your resume. I mean, what's up with that? Like, it's like you're double dipping a little bit. Like, are you going to even go to our school if you end up getting in our restrictive early action? Maybe you'll want to apply to Brown regular now that you had such a great summer at Brown. So it actually could really boomerang back at you. But especially for even, let's say you think you just want to go to College X, and College X offers the pre-college program. You're going there, then you're going to apply ED. It's going to be a marriage made in heaven. Everything's going to be great. You got in on the ground floor. No, it's not going to happen. It could happen, but it's not going to be because you did College X's pre-college program and you doled out $8,000 or however much money for a week or whatever to do a pre-college program with that. Instead, really think of it, is this program a good fit? Focus less on the name or the location of the program and focus more on what will you get from the experience. Will you be a better, more mature version of yourself as it relates to that subject? Will you know more about if you want to pursue that as a career or as a major? Will you know more about whether or not this is really a place you could see yourself living for the next 4 years as an undergraduate, once you apply as an undergraduate, as a senior? So to become an undergraduate as a senior. So those are the ways you have to think about this. Unfortunately, the price of everything has increased. So these pre-college programs are so costly. The for-profit ones that are from non-university or college providers, I would avoid like the plague personally, because what's the value of that? That's simply summer camp for high school kids. But the ones that are actually even offered by the institutions themselves, I would really be very picky about finding ones that are the right fit for you. There are, again, probably options that could pay you or that could at least be cost neutral for you that would be just as valuable experientially for you to learn more about your goals, your priorities in life. That could be great. There are other options too. Some of these colleges offer pre-college programs online. Now, again, online learning has its pros and cons, but that is at least sometimes a cheaper option. Obviously, the drawback of that is you don't get to experience the actual college campus in person. But if you want to get a sense of maybe what a professor is like there, or the way in which that institution runs any program, you could at least experience it from home as opposed to having to travel to that institution. There are also commuter options, like I mentioned, where some of these institutions, if you live locally, sometimes they allow students not to live in the residence halls, and therefore you can save a lot of money, but you actually can go to that campus each day and take courses with the local the visiting students who have enrolled in that pre-college program. I think the best pre-college programs are the ones where you're actually thrust into the summer programming of the institution writ large, and you get to take summer courses with the actual current undergraduate population or other visiting undergraduates. I know Johns Hopkins, some other schools have offered it, and UCLA have offered that in the past. Whether or not they will offer that in the future really depends on that institution's priorities moving forward. But I think that's the best position to put yourself in, i.e., again, you taking courses side by side with fellow undergraduates, as opposed to just being in a cohort of 17, 15, 16-year-olds, and you're actually earning real college credit. I think that's the best scenario to make this really worth your while. But again, there are exceptions. There are some really unique programs that are offered just to high school students that are wonderful, that could be really valuable and worth the money to you and your family potentially. But don't feel like you need to do it or it's going to be in any way an express lane to getting you into that college as an undergraduate. It is completely not the case. The other potential option that could be interesting, some colleges, again, UCLA is a notable option that has offered this in the past, offer some really interesting research opportunities where you might pay money, but you also have the opportunity not to simply sit in a class, but actually engage in research. Again, don't quote me on whether or not UCLA will offer that again in the future, but I know that's happened in the past, where you can have much more experiential learning over the course of the program, whether it's for or not for credit, that could really give you some hands-on learning that could be really impressive to colleges you apply to as an undergraduate applicant, as a first-year applicant later down the line, because you actually get another research opportunity out of it, purely research, or working very closely one-on-one with a professor in a lab or in some sort of setting experientially. There's some off-site campus programs in the Galapagos or whatever. I don't know if they offer that particularly one anymore, but I know in Costa Rica and some other areas. I had a kid years ago do one in Barcelona with Colombia. I don't think it's offered anymore, but that was really great for that particular student because he was very interested in Latin culture and particularly the Iberian Peninsula because his family was from there. And so it really complemented other activities on his resume because he was able to experience Andalusia and all these other places, or Barcelona and the similar region, with other students and really dig into his history. And he was also sort of into history and into sociology and other things. So if it complements and makes sense, it could really boost or augment your overall extracurricular resume when you apply to college. But overall, it wasn't the Columbia name on that particular program that was the impressive thing. It was the fact that the experience was one that was authentic to what he wanted to get out of it. He got a lot out of it. He grew from it. It complemented an overall section on his resume that was devoted to a similar theme, and it really made sense in the context of who he was, and colleges responded by accepting him. All right, so that as a first year student. So that's when it really makes a lot of sense, because even if you don't end up getting into the college, ultimately you still have a really good experience as a result of it. And you have no regrets that you chose this school as opposed to another school, because the experience in and of itself was worth it for your overall development, your overall maturity, and your overall growth as an independent, well-functioning person in society. All right, so we talked about pre-college programs. Again, sometimes they are good for you, sometimes they are not. Where they're delivered is almost the least important thing as it relates to pre-college programs. But if you want to learn more about how you can make the most of all of your summers in high school so that you can navigate the college application process during the summer before and actually the first few weeks of your senior year successfully, and hopefully get into the colleges at the top of your list, you again would be very wise to go to my website, collegemeister.com, to learn more about me, and we can talk about pros and cons of various summer activities for you, and what makes the most sense for you in the context of all that which you have accomplished to date and all that you hope to accomplish in the future, up to the point when you apply to colleges and universities, like I said, the summer before your senior year and the first few weeks of your 12th grade year in high school. Again, my name is Craig Meister. Collegemeister.com is where you can go to learn more about me. I hope you enjoyed this video. I have a back catalog, if you will, of other videos that you may find valuable. So I strongly recommend that you go to my YouTube channel to review them all, youtube.com/collegemeister. Until next time, stay safe, stay well. And my big focus this year is stay stress-free as you navigate the high school life that you are navigating right now. And if you're a parent, the high school life of your student. Stay safe, stay well, and stay stress-free. Talk to you soon.